One Friday evening, the Baal Shem Tov sat down with his disciples to have the Friday night meal. And immediately after making Kiddush, he let out this enormous laugh. And all the students were so confused. They've never heard him laugh so hard before. And then again, after the soup course, he laughs again, such a big, roaring laugh. And finally, at the end of the meal, he laughed again. And they were so confused. They've never heard him laugh so hard before in their lives. He was hysterical. And they were a little hesitant to ask him about it, so they let the Shabbos pass. And now it's Saturday night, and as was customary, he sat and he would smoke his tobacco pipe, and Reb Zev Kitzes, one of his disciples, would go and talk to him about some of the concepts he discussed. So all the students got together and said, Zev, you have to ask him about this laughing he was doing. So he said, okay, of course. So he went to ask the Baal Shem Tov about this laughing, and the Baal Shem Tov said, don't worry, in due time you'll have your answers. So in the meantime, saddle up my carriage, we're going on a trip. As you can expect, all the students are pumped. They saddle up the horses and they all pack into the carriage and they take off. As usual, this carriage flies through the night, and they get to this town of Koznitz in the morning. And they all unpack into some house. A generous person was willing to host them all, and they daven Shacharis, the morning prayers. Immediately after Shacharis, all the townspeople gathered. The Baal Shem Tov's in town, it's a big deal. They say, what do we owe the pleasure? And Baal Shem Tov says, I'm here to see Reb Shabtai. They said, Reb Shabtai, the bookkeeper? Or the bookbinder? He says, yeah. They said, okay, well, I don't know what you want with him. He's not a Torah scholar by any means, but we could show you where he lives. So they take the Baal Shem Tov and his students, and the whole town goes with to Reb Shabtai's house. They all come in, and Reb Shabtai is obviously a little shocked, but the Baal Shem Tov says, please bring your wife out, I'd like to speak with you too. So he brings out his wife, and now the Baal Shem Tov asks for Reb Shabtai to explain what occurred over the Shabbos, and to please be honest. So Reb Shabtai, a little hesitant, he says, look, I wouldn't dare lie to you, or anyone for that matter, but sure, I'll tell you what happened. You see, as a bookbinder, my task, my work has helped provide me for all these years. And what I usually do is I buy all my Shabbos needs, candles, wine, fish, soup, everything, challah. I buy it all on Thursday night, and then Friday we're all set. And midday Friday, I leave work early, and I go to the synagogue, and I read Shir HaShirim, and I prepare myself for davening, and then I daven, and I come home for the meal. But, work has been tough lately, and I found myself this week not making any money. I've gotten old, and it just didn't work out. And so I figured it would be better to have this week be, not what it usually is, to not have any food really, I've accepted my suffering. And I wasn't about to go and request of all the townspeople and be a burden onto them, to accept anything from a flesh and blood man, Hashem gives me what I need. And so I went to my wife and I told her the situation. I asked that she do the same, that she not go to our neighbors and request help. And we shook hands and we agreed. So that Friday I went to the synagogue and I did my usual task. And I knew people would ask me, and I was prepared to tell them that, I was fine and everything would be okay. And when I came home, I saw that there were candles burning in my window, and I was very confused. And I figured, of course, my wife must have given in. She must have asked for help. But I wasn't about to ruin the joy of Shabbos by mentioning this. So I walk in and I see the whole table beautifully set as though fit for a king. And I sit down, and after she sets the soup in front of me, I tell her, I see you weren't willing to accept our suffering. And she says, believe it or not, it turned out better than you think. You see, I was doing what little I could by cleaning the house for Shabbos. While I was cleaning, I found these gloves that had golden buttons on them. So I immediately ran to the goldsmith, and I pawned them off. And I got money, and I bought everything that you see before you, so that we could have this beautiful Shabbos. And Reb Shabtai said, I was so ecstatic, so much joy filled my body that I immediately jumped up, grabbed my wife by the hand, and we just danced for a full hour, just dancing in such a joy. And then when I sat down and actually tasted the soup, again, there's a surge of joy and ecstasy filled my body, and I grabbed her again and we just danced again. And then finally we sat down, And after finishing the meal, I looked at this table before me, this table fit for a king, and I couldn't help it. I jumped up again, grabbed her, and we just danced the rest of the night. And that's what happened. That's what went down the Shabbos. So the Baal Shem Tov turns to the townspeople and his students. He says, believe it or not, the whole heavenly court, all the heavenly household was dancing with Reb Shabtai and his wife on this moment. And these are the exact moments when I was laughing as well. And we should all merit and be blessed to have joy like Reb Shabtai and his wife had for that Shabbos every day of our life. Shavua Tov.